Hey guys, today I'm gonna introduce you a very popular game, Don't Starve, and let's just choose a new game. And my character is Wilson, that's a default character for this game. So let's get started. So the game Don't Starve is a wilderness adventure survival game that integrates magic, science, and creation. The player is left in a virtual pool world to keep alive and have a time. And this is Maxwell. And he just give you hints for ask you to getting more food. So the graphic design of the game is cartoonish, and sometimes the player can feel it's really dark, and it's there are some like supernatural features. And the game looks easy to hand and control by the users, so that I think the game can attract a lot of players and in different kinds according to the different level of play skill. Hardcore and pro players may explore more skills and methods playing the game, like comparing how long the character can be alive, while casual games may play the game in pastime for fun. The game can save whenever you want to keep the record for playing next time, and this is good for players to manage the time instead of addicting to it. And once starting the game, the main character Wilson is left on the ground and the NPC Maxwell gives the player hints about getting food. So the player will naturally search for food for the living longer time. The game has summer and winter condition and day and night as a real world. So the requirements for every season and every time is different. The main interesting part for the game is that the player needs to explore the methods and the use of every object, such as wood, food, grass, or even other animals exist in the game. The main mechanics in the game is picking up the objects you may need in the future to make sure you can always fulfill the three values on the top right corner. There are hunger points, spirit points, and blood points. So, for example, the character can pick carrots and berries for food, and use grass and wood for building a fire at night. And there are different mechanics have different functions on these three values on the top. So, for example, like eating a carrot can increase the hunger points, and maybe eating a green mushroom can decrease the spirit points. So players may be careful for that. And the players, if playing a game like this, so it's really boring and not attractive. So the most important part in the game are all the creative satellite mechanics. So during the game, the player can discover and explore various gameplay using the tool and the materials. So for long-term gameplay, the player may need to find a good place to build the threshold and produce the food. So some animals such as pigmen and yaks can be your protector when facing the animals. And in this condition, the player are just picking some rocks, maybe used for during the game, and he used a tool to like divide a really big rocks into several small rocks. And besides these, so eating raw and single food is not really cool in this game, so that there will be food menus discovered by the player themselves, and they can combine several materials together to have dishes. Well, so weapons can be made to fight with bees and spiders and other monsters. And sometimes in the game you can find some of your friends to like follow you, which are just container for all your materials and stuffs. So the process, the material with the tool can be the player's choice if they want the game become more successful or more interesting and fun. And the game is full of uncertainty because the map is unknown for every player, so the player will know the specific way to a place until they cross one time. Besides, so the player's skills are improved by your experience, and the use of the material and tools are untaught from the game. So very dangerous condition may suddenly exist, but it is unknown by the players. So the game utilizes their certainty to make the player a motivation to discover and explore the place. So as a result of that, the player won't know what happened, so they will try to do some actions and sometimes will give them surprise. So the game is really successful because of the uncertainty set. And the dynamics of the game provide the unclear map, and mechanics make the player feel it is fun, and they sometimes feel very surprised to pick up some random stuff like some hats and some clothes which can protect themselves. For the narrative structures and the tension arts, the narrative of the game is multi-linear, I think. So although the goal of the game is to make yourself alive as long as possible, so during the gameplay, there are a lot of options for the players can do. So players can either choose to experience a dangerous or exciting condition, such as fighting with spiders, or they may choose to pass by to live really stable and just have food. Um, to protect themselves, prevent themselves from other enemies and animals. And that's all depends on the player's choice. Uh, for the reward system, and the reward system for this game is also very essential and necessary and a useful part. So the players need to get what they want after starting an action. For example, maybe they want to cutting a tree, so they may want something from the tree, like the wood, or when they want to pick up or cut the grass, they may want have some, they may want something from the grass, and they know the grass maybe is very useful. And there's another example, maybe there are some rocks, there are some big rocks, and they use a tool to divide these really big rocks. Maybe they don't need many rocks, but they really want the gold in the rocks, so they will do this action. So in this game, fighting the bees and the spiders and can also provide really great rewards for the players, including the food rewards like honey or blood. Honey or blood rewards like the spider gland. The players will have motivation to do the behaviors because they reward the reinforcement, and these items will be really, really useful in the future. Conclusion: Don't Starve as a creative game, which does not limit to the player's thoughts and skills, and it maybe can be played in simple attributes, but also many mechanics in the game stimulate the players to thinking complicated and creatively. And so the combination of graphic design, game concepts, narratives are designed well to enrich the gameplay and make it really successful so far.